Okay, so welcome everyone to our Cohort 2 PD session today. As I'm sure you saw from the email that we pushed out, we are trying something different today. So when we were putting together our schedule and reviewing it to go over the PD, this topic came up and we were reflecting on the amazing presentation that we've done on this topic previously. So we reviewed the recording and felt like it was still appropriate and had the right information. And so we thought we would flip our classroom and push it out to everyone to review first, and then spend time today going over any questions that folks may have. I'm going to turn it over to Susie because she has some information just to kind of bring everyone up to speed in the event that you didn't get a chance to watch the presentation, that you're not wondering what homework you missed.
Right. Get my screen set up here. All right. So today's topic is preschool partnerships. And like Sandy said, we've had some great presentations from other agencies and from within our department about this topic. So hopefully you had a chance to review those two recordings. And in the event that you did not, we are going to talk a little bit about the topics that were mentioned in there and hopefully describe some of that information just kind of on the surface level to help out. So these topics were included in the previously presented partnership presentations. We talked about defining the mixed delivery system. We talked about who are the providers and mentioned public preschools, licensed childcare providers, providers of early care and education, childcare facilities, family childcare programs, Head Starts, as just a few of the different entities within that mixed delivery system. And then we talked about in the presentation, why is it suggested that we coordinate with outside providers? And we said that the mixed delivery early care and education is the coordinated effort to support early childhood services and programming across a range of settings to help meet the varied needs of children and families. The next kind of segment of those presentations addressed how do we decide whether to partner with an organization in that mixed delivery system. And some of the answers that came up were we start with considering what's in the best interest of the child and the family. We ensure that the program meets certain standards and that the child will benefit from and be able to make progress in that program. And there were a lot of considerations, specific considerations in those PowerPoint sessions. The next topic that was brought up in those sessions was how might we develop those partnerships? And there was a handout for tips for partnering. And we're going to talk about that and provide you with those resources again today. And then finally, what might be contained in a partnership agreement? We had that also was in the partnership handout that we're going to give to you at the end. Well, it's going to be a link on this PowerPoint that we can pop into the chat as well today. So we thought that after this review of what was in those presentations, we would kind of have some questions and invite everybody on the presentation today to discuss and share with each other. And so Sandy, I'm going to hand it over to you to lead us in this part of the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Susie. So right now we want to open it up to have conversations or even questions that you might have about partnering with your community programs in your mixed delivery system. So we have some questions here just to get kind of the conversation started. And so if you would like to, please just feel free. You don't need to raise your hand. You can just unmic or you can share information in the chat. But we're just curious, are there any school districts on today that are currently engaged in a partnership with one of your local programs? And if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about how you engaged in that connection with them, and then talk a little bit about how that collaboration is going for you currently. And I'm going to, Susie, if you could stop sharing for a minute, we could
Sure.
see everybody because I can only see a few people. There's Laura. Laura's raising her hand. Would you like to share, Laura?
Sure, yeah. So we have partnered with a few uh, childcare providers and centers. We have currently are partnering with 5 different Head Start locations in Lewiston, Auburn. And we have our 282Bs providing specially designed instruction in a push-in model in all of those settings. We have Kids Space, which is a private childcare provider, but it's just got its 3-star rating, and it has up to 50% of students with special needs. She's a former special educator. We also have the Y. That has 2 locations. Incidentally, I don't know if this is anyone on this screen, but the rating, I think the ratings might need to be updated on the website that shows the star
Okay.
rating, because when we checked in, it was off a little bit, so maybe updated at some point. But yeah, it's working really well. We haven't, I mean, we need to probably hire another ed tech. So right now we have 2 special educators, case managers, and then 1 ed tech, but we really need to hire another one just because if someone's out, the schedule's pretty tight. So if someone's out, they're missing their SDI. But it's been, yeah, I mean, I just got the list and over the summer found out where all these students were and just reached out to the directors and started a conversation, and then kind of got a layup. Okay, where do we need, where are all the services and how many folks do I need to provide the services, and went from there. But it's been really successful. I will say it's been an adjustment from the way CDS did things and the way public school, and I mean, really, I mean, no diss on CDS at all, but just what we're obligated to do and not do versus what was happening before. So that's a little bit of some untangling with some of the directors, and you want to develop strong relationships with them, but then you have to also educate them a little bit, and try to set some boundaries, I guess. But no, it's been really successful.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone else?
I have a question for Laura. As we think about joining the third cohort, and I look at the CDS roster and the IEPs that we already have, it looks like it's going to be easy peasy, speech only. And then I wonder, Laura, what was your experience when you started providing the service? Did you discover that because at this point we don't have any students that have SDI on their plan. So when you're saying that you're finding that you will need to hire another ed tech and to provide those services, I'm wondering if once you started, did you discover that you needed that there were more services necessary than the majority being speech?
Um, not it there it did increase, but it wasn't a situation where we're like, oh my gosh, wow, this is nothing like we thought it was going to be. It's going to be way more than we thought. It sort of happened organically. We had eligibility meetings and, other annual meetings and, Head Start, at least in our area, the kiddos that go there can be fairly needy, and need more services. And because we do have a lot of them in the Lewiston Auburn area, I think that's why we had more of an increase in the actual SDI. I will say I was a little bit naive in thinking I hired a full-time speech pathologist thinking that would cover it. And oh my gosh, no, no, because between assessments and travel and because I didn't realize, okay, we've got some at St. Dom's, we've got some at Montessori schools in Freeport, and she couldn't travel and cover everyone. So I think right now we probably have about a dozen contracts with various speech providers for in-person services, all the way from South Portland to Western Maine. My speech pathologist is more of a coordinator now in terms of, oh, we've got this outlier here, and she is amazing. She's like, okay, we got a new contract with this agency down in South Portland or whatever. So I will say that I was a little naive, at least with just the speech. I really wasn't thinking of the assessments, the travel, and all of that. So, yeah.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, my question is, did you take on 3-year-olds too, Laura?
Yes.
That's where we're finding the majority of the services that we're having to provide, and they are a very needy group that we've inherited, not knowing that they were even coming.
Yeah, I will say we did take on the 3-year-olds, Pat. And I knew what we had for 3-year-olds, and it was only a few. And I looked at their services and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is doable. Like, we'll just take those on. Well, then completely forgetting, so those folks in cohort 3, that they turn 3 during the school year. And so now I'm finding out about, these 2.6, 2.9 kiddos who, oh yeah, they have to be somewhere. They have to, they have to get these services. So that has been a little bit of, oh, I wasn't thinking they're going to turn 3 at some point this year, many of them. So that population has increased. And actually my early childhood coordinator, my halftime coordinator, and I were just saying, we got to think of some kind of programming for 3-year-olds for next year that are getting more than just speech. Part of the issue, and I don't blame parents, is they don't want their kids in a program. They want them at home. So, but yes, that was something I forgot about too. Like, oh yeah, we have quite a few 3-year-olds coming up.
Yeah, and ours are actually needing placements, which is a concern because there's nothing here. It's like we got kids, little ones, being sent an hour away from us or more. And that's not a good feeling to have because those weren't on the radar to be coming for us. We didn't know about them. We didn't even know they were coming, and they're still coming. We have another 2 this week, and I'm pretty sure one's going to need a placement. And it's like, that's a lot for a district to take on, placements of these students.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine. I mean, Auburn is lucky. We're an urban area. We're centrally located. We do have options for program for 3 and 4-year-olds, both through CDS in one of our schools and some other places not far away. So we are lucky that way. But I don't even like my school age kids, high school kids, to drive an hour. So I can't imagine a 3-year-old. Absolutely.
Every child I have to place, I don't care what age it is at least 45 minutes to an hour away.
Mhm.
So Pat, why don't we connect with you outside of this meeting
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you've had some new referrals or new transitions. So maybe we can help you look at that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think that's something for people to be aware of, that those kids come even when you don't know they're coming. So I think that's important for people to know.
Yes, I think that that is definitely one of the learning pieces that we have learned with cohort 1 and cohort 2, and we are sharing that with our cohort 3 interested school districts as much as we can about those that are coming up, but we don't always know, and we can't always anticipate the children that get referred that even CDS didn't know about, or families moving, etc. So I just want to circle back to the question that we had posted. I know Susie put it in the chat, but before we move on to the next question, I just want to make sure, are there any other SAUs here today that would like to share about their current partnerships and how they engaged, how you started those relationships? No? Okay, I'll move on to the other question. So, well, and this is kind of timely. Are there others who are contemplating it to serve the children identified as needing special education programs and services? So, are you thinking about looking at your community and the partners that you have? And I know some, probably like Pat, don't have a lot of programs in their community, which is one of the things that we um, help school districts look at when they're either in cohort or joining. But is anybody kind of like at that point where, because of their enrollment or referral numbers, are thinking of looking at their mixed delivery system for support?
I have an maybe this is the situation that might apply. We have a preschool that's established with a community partnership through a Rustic community action. And I'm wondering how we will serve the students. We're planning on bringing, say, our speech students to the school building for their services because the speech therapist will be in the building. But the preschool itself is actually off-site. So the students are bused, the pre-K students are bused to that off-site location. If that student has additional needs, will we be able to do that in the school building for SDI and if there are any other significant needs? And how would we factor in doing the building assessment with Lori Whittemore, et cetera? Are we going to follow that self-assessment in preparation for, just in case, needing to provide additional services for those students within the school building?
Okay, so Corlin, you're not in cohort right now, right?
Right. Oh, so I
Okay.
have to save this question.
No, you don't have
Oh,
to save
okay.
this question.
All right.
It's a great question. But there's some things I want you to just like food for thought to think about.
Okay.
Okay. So it sounds like you have some community programs that you could partner with.
Mm-hmm.
And you were wondering if you should be busing them to your school.
They're going to start out at the school building where the pre-K is not. Our school building doesn't have the pre-K established there. We already have a pre-K community partnership with
Okay.
them that's existing right now. But when we join cohort, we're thinking ahead of how we're going to provide services through mixed delivery to accommodate those needs.
Okay. So I just want to reflect back on how Laura was sharing that they have the itinerant service model,
Okay.
which would be best. That's our
Right.
best practice. that you're sending someone to those programs. And there's a couple reasons why. One, it lessens the transition for children during the day. And two, we know that related services shouldn't happen necessarily in isolation, that when they happen in a program, that teacher and the other people involved in that child's day get to learn what that person is working on. They're able to help carry that over into the classroom routines and the curriculum, and it's really embedded into their daily life there. So that is kind of like the best case scenario when that can be lined up like that.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Could I just bring up a concern with that? Um, Given the difficulty I think we all have with finding service providers, so finding speech therapists, it's hard. I mean, in my district, even if kids are in local childcares, that may be asking a speech therapist to travel 20 minutes between kids. So if we're thinking that could be, 3, 4, 5 hours a week that they're losing for service time because they're traveling. Um, so I do absolutely understand having that itinerant model where we're having the therapist in the school is beneficial, but I also think for things like articulation in our public school with the K-5 kids, that the speech therapist isn't spending much time in the classroom talking to the kindergarten teacher about articulation. It may be more of a, hey, let's touch base so I can give you some information about speech sounds or an email. Is that something that we can consider, or is that how do we balance kind of losing out on speech time that a speech therapist could be seeing a kid if we had kids coming to one location for that itinerant piece?
Yeah, I mean, I think we recognize that it's a delicate balance always. Your coordination of services and the providers that you have. So we know that that may be an option that schools have to look at. I think our recommendation would always be that you try to have it happen at that child's placement, because the flip side of that is you're going to be coordinating children traveling and being transported into your building. So it's, there's going to be some sort of piece to that you're going to have to coordinate and time spent. So whether it's a child riding in a car for 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get just their speech and then go back to their program. What is the best for the children in these situations? Now, if you don't have a speech therapist, or like your resources are running low, we know that things like that would happen, but then that might be when teletherapy might come into play as an option for some children so that they can receive that and continue to receive it in their program.
Would you see teletherapy as a better option than having the students come to one location? Is that what we should look at?
I mean, it will always go back to it's an individualized recommendation, and what the district has available for resources.
Mhm. And what about for a 3-year-old? I think we get these a lot that referred by the doctor. There's definitely an articulation delay, but the child's not in a program at all.
So I think it was at the last time we met, we talked about this a little bit,
Yeah.
is that we always want to be talking about, and as Laura said, folks have parents of 3-year-olds that they're not ready to send them to a program or to the big school, but that's always what the IEP team should be talking about, is what level of programming does that child need? And making that offer so that you're offering it and documenting it on the written notice. And it is individualized per child in the IEP team. But it is early childhood special education. So it is preschool special education, which you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if other districts are finding other ways to manage that or have any tips with that.
And I think this ties right into our topic today about the mixed delivery system. So where would a 3-year-old typically attend? Are there places in your community where 3-year-olds could attend? Do you have room in your public pre-Ks for 3-year-olds to attend? So that if you're saying no to all of that, then we need to help you. So connect with us because we need to help you figure that out. And Sarah, are you doing 3-year-olds this year as well?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jackie has helped out with
Yeah.
it's just our community schools don't have 3 stars.
We can work on that too.
Yeah, so they're connected to try and help, but we're at that kind of sticking point of if the community partners aren't getting the stars, where
Yep. So then we might need to look at other options for you to expand pre-K. And just remember, it is a continuum of services, right? A continuum of that least restrictive environment that you're talking about in the IEP team meeting, just like you would for a school age student. You want to keep revisiting that. Oh, Erin, I didn't see you had your hand up.
That's okay. I just wanted to, just acknowledge that there's a dearth of speech therapists in the state. And that's true across the country. Sandy, when she got here, I kind of said, we have to do something. We've been working on school psychologists. Now, next group we have to work on is speech therapists. But I just want to let you know that CDS relies on telehealth services because of the dearth of. So I know that if you've been in school age for a long time, you think, this little teeny person, we'd love to have an actual individual in front of that person providing speech therapy. But that in this economy of no speech therapists, we have to rely on telehealth. And I will also say that when you have those conversations with your mixed delivery system, there must be an e-helper in that scenario because a 3-year-old's likely not going to engage in their speech therapy session automatically, or independently, I should say. So just keep that in mind. I think there's ways that you can navigate that with your mixed delivery system to make sure that they maybe have somebody who can assist, and that might be, something you can navigate with them. There'd likely be a small cost to that, but it's not the same cost as potentially a one-on-one all day, So just wanting to make sure that people keep this as a viable option. What's not a viable option is not exploring it if we have no other pathway forward. So just make sure that you're considering that. And please do know that CDS has to rely on that service significantly because of the amount of speech therapists that are in Maine. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
And I will say, if any of you sit on our parent advisory committees, we've our last round of parent advisory committee meetings, we had some presentations on telehealth because parents were asking for more information. And it was a great presentation to share with them. It really showed kind of how telehealth therapy works, the engaging interface, the success that they've had working with students. I think it gave the parents that I don't want to say it like relieved all their anxiety. And Lou, you can speak up if you want, but I think we really answered a lot of their questions about it if they were hesitant or had questions about teletherapy. Hey, Jen.
So we have one student that's in an out of school placement for this year, and we've formed a relationship with them. It was a little tricky in the beginning, but it's working fine. And we needed to get speech services, and the and I am on one of the parent um, committees or whatever. And I watched the presentation, reached right out to them, and they would not contract with us because we only had one student that we needed to have services for.
Hmm.
So that presents an issue too for some of our smaller towns that don't have other students that we were able to meet the needs of the students in our school a different way. And
Yep.
then we ended up having to have a provider actually go to that school as well from our schools to provide services. So there again, you have like the more travel time. But for some of the smaller schools, that might be something too to like consider is that they don't want a contract for just like one kid or two kids. They want the bigger contracts, and that creates a problem where we live. If
Thank
you
you for bringing that up because I think that's something that we can do some problem solving around. But that is such a great thing for us to kind of navigate potentially some multi-district partnerships so that you can
yeah,
do something along those lines. But thank you for bringing that up. We'll take a note of that. Get
right.
back to
And we wanted to do it simply to provide continuity for the child to continue working with the therapist she was with. And we were, like I said, we were able to work it out, but it could end up being a problem for other districts that have the same situation and are small like ours. But
Hey, Sandy, one thing that I was going to say that we noticed that once you start providing special ed services in a particular program in that mixed delivery system and more kids enroll, then you start funneling more kids to that program, and that starts to solve the problem of, having your itinerant services drive to multiple programs. So, you start building a relationship with one, and then, you can and other parents see, oh, that child is getting their services there. That sounds like that's good for me too. So there's sort of that social factor of it working well in one place starts to attract more, and then you can solve that problem of kids being spread out in multiple locations. Start to kind of pick a couple that are really working for you, and then serve them there. So that's how we've seen it happen in other programs in other states.
And I was just going to highlight in the chat, folks have mentioned that we also have our CDS support and service hub. So if Jen, like you weren't able to get that telehealth for one child, we may be able to support you through CDS for that one child. Or as we're still in this hybrid of some school districts in an area in cohort and some not in cohort, we may have staff going to programs anyway to serve students that are still under CDS. So please always think of that as an option as well. We also, Jackie is kind of our key person because through CDS, she was supporting the programs that engaged in a tuition agreement. And so we have that list of programs of where CDS had students with disabilities already attending. And then we are also working, I know that there is this a little bit of a gap in some communities of where we have set the bar at 3-star and their 2-star programs and working, they can apply for a waiver to be a 3-star. And we have a whole team of people behind the scenes helping support that as well. So if you're running into that roadblock where your community only has 2-star and you're not making any movement, maybe we can help with that as well. I will say we had one cohort 3 school district reach out or anticipated cohort 3 school district. And what they did is they held a pizza night for their community partners. And so they invited them all in and provided soda and pizza. And it was a meet and greet. And then the local CDS director, myself, and Marcy Whitcomb from the early learning team were there, and we did a little presentation on the transition, and we talked about the partnerships. The special education director and the superintendent were there, and they kind of walked around the room and got to know everyone and really shared that they wanted to build these collaborative partnerships and that they didn't have enough room potentially for every student with an IEP, and that they would be working with them. And so it was kind of a nice way to kind of just break the ice and get to know the people in your community as well. That was just one way a school district did that. Okay, it looks like we have one more question. What questions do you have about partnering with other programs? If you have any, are there any other questions that you might have about working with your mixed delivery system or preschool expansion? We have Lori Whittemore here in the house to support any questions with that.
Sandy, this is just a really like minutia question, but I'm
Sure.
kind of like the compliance, person over here. And the LRE section is just so different than the school. So I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around it. So when it says, okay, so we have a kiddo at KidSpace who is there 3 days a week. Now, this is a private childcare, but she is 3-star rating.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he gets picked up early, sometimes, he doesn't go. But so what are we putting for hours? Because so when it says hours, that's like for our public pre-K, universal pre-K, it's 10 hours. That's easy. It's 10 hours, they're there during the week. So what about a situation like that with, a private daycare or the Y, let's say?
Yeah, so is the IEP team basically, that's the general education setting that the IEP team has decided on, and have they said that it's 10 hours? And that's the assumption that that child would be there 10 hours. We know that that doesn't always happen with attendance.
Yeah.
Yes. So then you would go off what the decision was for that placement.
Okay, so
Just like you would for the children who come to school every day, right? Even if they miss a day here and there.
so would we consider, like, if our universal pre-K that we offer is 10 hours a week, then we would just mirror that in these other settings because that's what we offer. So we'll consider, I know it's individualized, but in most cases, generally it would be 10 hours. If that's, yeah, I guess it's just confusing.
Okay. So yes, and I hear you. And what I want to say is that our fearless leaders here at DOE have been working on guidance on this.
Okay.
And it is in its final stages of review. So we're hoping to push that out shortly, because this is kind of the big question, right? About how do we do that in the mixed delivery system? What is our, like for you, right? You're saying, I want to know, give me black and white kind of, right? Some guidance on this. And it's not always black and white is the problem, but we have been working on that. So if you could just stay tuned a little while longer, we will have something for you.
No, that's perfect. I mean, as long as I'm not blatantly doing it incorrectly, I'm good with that. So
you're good. Yes. You're on the right track right there. Yes. So any other questions? The other thing that we could talk a little bit about, and Laura, you would be a great one to also help with this, is our collaborative programs with CDS preschool. And so when we have had school districts that are going through the process of planning to go move into cohort and really wanting to keep a lot of their children in-house, right? So that you can work with them and have hands eyes on and least restrictive environment, but have some students with more significant needs. We've been working with school districts with our CDS preschool staff to help develop those very high quality programs. So Laura, I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit, and I don't know if Rebecca is here as well from 52.
Oh,
I don't know if,
yeah.
oh, there she is. Hi,
Oh, there's
Rebecca. You're on
Rebecca.
the other screen. Rebecca could also speak about um, collaborative partnerships because it doesn't necessarily also have to be the CDS preschool. We have other collaborative partnerships to help provide, and this is all part of that mixed delivery system as well.
Yeah, so yeah, we in Auburn, we have we partnered with CDS. They had a little special purpose program called the Little Explorers, and it was at the First Step office. So which is not ideal. There wasn't good outside space. It wasn't kid friendly. So DOE reached out, said, "Hey, do you have any room? Would you like to host this program?" And let me tell you, we are so happy that we did. We love this program. We managed to find a classroom in between pre-K and the OT room. So the inclusion that can happen either organically or schedule wise or whatever is amazing. They're around typically developing kids, they're around students their age. It does take 3 and 4 year olds. They are part of our school culture. They get lunch and breakfast depending on what session they're in. They are on the same schedule as our AM and PM pre-K classrooms. They go out to recess. They do fundraisers with the school if they want. So they really are a part of our school community, even though they are, it is a CDS, program. Most of the students are Auburn students. We do have at least one from Lewiston. And honestly, I think it's the best thing we could have ever done. Andwell closed suddenly over the summer, that their little special program. And had we not had this program to integrate these kids from Andwell to Little Explorers, we would have some students with unmet needs, having to wait for outplacement. ELC is another little special purpose program in Auburn, but they have a waiting list that's very, very long. So I would encourage any district to partner to have a program like that based in one of your elementary schools. It's been a fantastic relationship. The staff is amazing, and yeah, we love it.
Yeah, I was looking to see if Heather is here, and I don't think she's here,
She
but
was she I think she was earlier, but
okay. Yeah, so if a school district, like that's what I was thinking with you, Pat, is that we'll probably reach out and have this conversation. And we may have already done that, but now you might have more students than you were anticipating. So this is one of the things that we can do is help you look at expanding your part of that mixed delivery system as well. And Rebecca, do you mind sharing a little bit about your journey as well? Because you're kind of in the same situation.
Yes, we have a group of students who we are trying to find ways creatively to provide them with related services or direct services to a degree. But they're currently not fully provided their education because we are interim waiting out of district placements. But at the same time, that has also spurred us to talk with Laura, go to Auburn to observe the classroom and speak with the principal and the manager of the program. We also had met with Heather to explore a classroom within our pre-K wing for 3 and 4 year olds that would bring those kiddos off a wait list in, or bring the kiddos that we are servicing for some parts of their day in for longer parts at our Turner Primary School. And the room opens right up into all of the other classrooms. We do have two pilot or two model inclusive schools. So we're hoping that maybe we could take, this is not one of the schools, but we were hoping to be able to take this experience for providing more inclusion to students that have more intense needs, and be able to grow that at the primary school as well. So that eventually our Turner Primary School will be able to have students enter one of our model schools, Turner Elementary, from there as well. Just gonna and then that's what we have. We also have a partnership with the Margaret Murphy program, and we have our first pre-K student entering that program in one of our other elementary schools, and we have students in that program spending more time in gen ed, which is awesome, because they would have been certainly off-site as well. So right now we're in for switching back to our potential Little Explorers program, that we are awaiting staff and awaiting, actually hoping to hear from Lori soon about maybe what we might have to be able to outfit a classroom to be able to get that going. But we're hoping to get it going in the next couple months.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing this journey, because and I don't think any school district goes into in cohort 1 or 2, and you think you have this kind of all figured out, and then things happen, right? Children
Mhm.
move in, and then maybe wait lists fill up that you weren't anticipating. But I want everyone to hear that if you are experiencing anything like that, please reach out. That's what we are here for. We have a whole team of people that will help you look at resources. We can always bring in Lori Whittemore to look at facilities and support those conversations about what's best for children. And then we have Jackie and Trisha. We just all really kind of rally around to support school districts in figuring this out. Our goal, as you've heard all along, is that all of our children receive all of their services in a timely manner, and that this is part of that process, is really helping all of you establish that, so that I bet next year it's going to be a whole lot easier, because you will have these programs and options for that continuum established. Any further questions or comments? It's amazing how we can fill up almost an hour. So on this slide deck, which we're not showing anymore, we also have resources, as Susie mentioned. So we'll be posting that, and we can send that out as well. There's a little sheet on there about, and I think we might have sent it out with the videos, about how you can kind of establish those relationships if you're struggling with what would be your first step. That is on there as well. Any other questions? We can open it up. Doesn't have to be about mixed delivery system. We also know that we recently pushed out the COAS learning management system on Engine. For those that wanted more information and training on the COAS assessment. So if anybody has any questions about that, we could attempt to answer that. But also, as you or your teachers dig into that a little bit, we're here to help you with that as well. Okay, quiet bunch here at the end. Thank you for coming. Have a great evening. It's nice to see you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.